Huge majority of political experts are of the opinion that it is ill-advised to go against Mark Golding's desires about whom he wishes to see in the position of General Secretary and that of Chairperson of the People's National Party. On November 7th, a large majority of the delegates, in the amount of 52%, decided to cast their ballots in favor of Mark Golding. Therefore, 52% of those who were eligible to vote decided to elect Mark Golding as the sixth president of the party. This also amounts to all of 55% of those who voted, and their choice was Mark Golding. He cemented his victory with almost 296 votes over Ms. Hannah's 1,444 votes, with a total of 1,730. However, with this victory, Mark Golding has inherited a set of officers of 13, and only one out of those 13 officers have publicly issued their endorsement for him during his challenge to become the next president of the People's National Party. He also leads a parliamentary opposition of 20, including 14 members of parliament and 6 senators in the upper house. Only 5 of these 20 have publicly endorsed Mark Golding. Mark Golding, unfortunately, has also inherited an executive committee and a national executive council that consists of persons who are heavily influenced and work diligently to protect Dr. Peter Phillips and the presidency that he led the PNP through. Therefore, the stocks and the odds lie against Mark Golding, and it is therefore reasonable for him to be allowed to choose the General Secretary and Chairperson of the People's National Party. If you were to take an objective look at what exists in the People's National Party, Mark Golding is calling for unity within the PNP. His attempt is to organize the political organization for the impending local government elections and for the future. However, with media reports surfacing that Lisa Hanna has resigned as party treasurer, reportedly giving the PNP's executive and the new leadership a free hand to choose personnel for critical positions. There is also the anticipated resignations of Julian Robinson and Fitz Jackson from the posts of PNP General Secretary and PNP Chairman. So, with 3 positions open, that of Treasurer, Chairperson and General Secretary, it should be Mark's choice about whom he chooses to replace Fitz, Julian and Lisa. It is not an unreasonable thing to grant Mark Golding his wishes, even just to allow him 2 persons out of the 3 posts that are currently vacant. He will make the best choice based on his best judgment, and he will choose persons who share his vision to reshape the PNP as a viable political organization. He will select Dr. Dayton Campbell and Dr. Angela Brown Burke as General Secretary and Chairperson of the party. These 2 persons were critical to his success in the recently concluded presidential elections of the People's National Party. Many have argued that these 2 posts are very critical to the leadership of the party, and the leader needs to have the trust and support from his chairperson and his general secretary. The position of general secretary is one that requires a perfect relationship with the president. These two persons should be able to have a discussion and to disagree amicably. As a result, the National Executive Council, for at least 30 years, has always allowed the leader of the PNP to choose the persons for these two posts, especially that of General Secretary. They have hardly opposed the leader's selection for General Secretary over the last 3 decades. It should be noted that whilst Portia Simpson Miller was president, Julian Robinson was seen as Peter Bunting's successor for the post of General Secretary. However, Mrs. Simpson Miller desired to see Paul Burke as General Secretary. At the National Executive Council, Julian Robinson chose to nominate Paul Burke as General Secretary, and this ended all speculations that the convention would be broken, based on the trend that was forthcoming in the lead-up to that National Executive Council meeting. Now in 2020, we are seeing where former Member of Parliament for Senate Northwestern, Dr. Dayton Campbell, who managed to secure a majority of the votes for Mark Golding and assisted him to achieve victory in his challenge to become the president of the PNP. We're seeing where he's being challenged by Raymond Price and Jennifer Housen. However, Dr. Dayton Campbell remains undaunted. Dr. Campbell is the first to have won his marginal parliamentary seat in 2011 by regaining it from the 2007 Jamaica Labour Party, who took that seat in 2007. He retained it with a swing against the PNP in 2016. He retained it with a swing against the PNP. Campbell was unfortunately beaten in 2020 during that September 2020 era, where the PNP was badly beaten by the JLP by 49 to 14. Dr. Dayton Campbell has always exhibited excellent organizational skills, a renewed temperament, and an aptitude to function, even while others remain dormant. The office of General Secretary, now more than ever, requires someone who in the immediate 10 years is not actively engaged in the process of trying to become or remaining or maintaining their position as a Member of Parliament. Office of Chairperson of the PNP also requires a close working relationship with the President and the General Secretary. In the time of Manley, he was the first president of the party to have a chairman, and he chose David Corr, who was one of his best friends. Corr was later succeeded by founding member of the PNP and later Governor General Cook. Following Cook, Michael Manley's most trusted lieutenant and protege, Patterson, became chairman of the party and was later succeeded by his protege, Bobby Pickersgill. These positions are critical and were not lightly chosen. Pickersgill served Patterson and his successor Simpson Miller, of whom Pickersgill was the closest of confidants. When he retired, Fitzjackson succeeded him. Jackson was campaign manager for Peter Phillips on his 2 unsuccessful runs for party president and one of his closest allies. In all of these circumstances, the party president was given the chairman he or she desired. Mark Golding should then be afforded the same privileges and courtesies of his predecessors as president of the People's National Party. Dr. Angela Brown Burke was the campaign director in Mark Golding's convincing and victorious campaign, and like Dr. Campbell, they managed to achieve victory. Angela Brown Burke's style and flavor calmly charted the winning course, bringing forces that once strongly opposed each other at one table. And in a united force, they managed to tumble down the campaigns of Lisa Hanna. The office of chairman requires, among other things, a conciliator, a trait that has been displayed frequently by Dr. Angela Brown Burke. She first entered the lower house when Simpson Miller retired in 2017, and despite the beatings that the PNP suffered in 2020, she increased her vote count. It is widely speculated that the PNP Vice President Philip Paulwell intends to challenge for the post of party chairman. If successful, he will create another vacancy in the PNP, a position for Vice President, and this may lead to further issues and divisions. This also means that at least in the immediate future, the PNP will not be allowed to settle and will further erode the little confidence that the public has in this political organization. Paulwell, who is the Member of Parliament, whilst Angela Brown Burke has served as a councillor, a mayor and a PNP Vice President, is rumoured that their relationship is now strained, led to this run as Vice President in 2018, where he managed to push out Angela Brown Burke as long-standing Vice President. If these rumors are true, then it can be reasoned that his sole purpose as against by his 2018 challenge in comparison to his new challenge in 2020 is to ensure that Angela Brown Burke does not become the chairperson of the party. It seems to be more personal than professional. Therefore, it can be argued that Philip Paulwell's intentions is not what the PNP needs at this time. He has no intentions to provide the conciliation that the PNP requires. During 2018, when he challenged for Vice President, he promised party workers health insurance. It was an excellent idea. However, with the adverse fate of the pandemic, with 10,000 Jamaicans having unfortunately contracted the pandemic and its related symptoms, it is believed that Paulwell needs to focus on the unfulfilled promise of issuing that health insurance plan. Paulwell was a close confidant of Simpson Miller, and she said that he was the person that negotiated the leadership transition of power to Dr. Peter Phillips. These issues that would have arisen at that time did not elevate Paulwell to the two other powerful officer corps roles within the PNP. Paulwell was campaign director before becoming co-campaign director in the recent general elections, and this demonstrated his inability to connect and organize the PNP effectively in an effort to participate in elections. This would have been something that would have resulted in the bitter defeat that they suffered at the hands of the JLP twice. For many decades, however, the PNP has been marred with a series of scandals, which in the eyes of the public is not good for order. They have had to deal with the matter of Trafigura, and this is still before the courts. And Paulwell is also one that is rocked and marked by the adverse US visa issue. If these matters remain unresolved, the PNP runs the risk of a further erosion of the public's trust. Paulwell, having actively supported Hannah's failed bid, should take a line from her and allow good order to prevail in the People's National Party. Like, comment, share and subscribe. Let me know if you also believe that Mark Golding should be allowed to fill both of these posts in the PNP Secretariat by choosing Dr. Angela Brown Burke for the post of chairperson and Dr. Dayton Campbell for the post of General Secretary. We also believe that Paulwell has more personal interest in the post of chairperson and not the interest of unity within the PNP. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.